Hey guys, and welcome back to Guitar Coach Reacts to Intermediate Guitar Soloist. Today we got AJ, who's in my inner circle. Let's go ahead and jump into some of his guitar playing. So AJ is playing on a B to A Mixolydian track. All right, so major pentatonic, Mixolydian's gonna work. He chose to start out in the classic box, way up the neck. Nice bend. I really like his double stop bends. All right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and pause and jump into the coaching. So here's the thing. I think AJ's doing a great job. He's up the neck, he's in this box here, right? Well, one thing I have to say is when you start that high, you really don't have anywhere to go. So some approaches that I might take. Obviously the classic box is a great thing. I mean, it sounds so good, and we can play it up here. He's playing in B major pentatonic, right? And it's an excellent sound, but it's way up there, right? So we could start potentially down the neck at kind of our pinky on the 7th fret. I kind of think that would have been a better choice because it's going to give you a place to go. So if you started out with licks down here, he can still do his really nice double stop bends on that 2. So that would be my first recommendation. If you start too high, then you have nowhere really to go. Okay, back in. All right, so here's a little more feedback kind of right away. When I start a solo, a lot of times I really like to save notes for later. So what do I mean by that? Well, people on the internet oftentimes, say that they're stuck in the pentatonic or whatever. But after years and years of guitar lessons, just teaching many, many people and taking a lot of lessons myself, basically there's so many of the great masters that use almost extensively the pentatonic scale. So it's not about that you need a bunch of fancy scales. The pentatonic scales are amazing. What you need to do is learn how to do more with them. So what I would suggest to AJ is save those extra notes. So he's playing essentially in B Mixolydian here. That's gonna be B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, back to B. Okay, so that is a great sound, but the neat thing is the B major pentatonic scale, which we could do in box 1, has 5 of those 7 notes. And if you say, okay, cool, just start with the pentatonic notes, or even better, start with less than that. Start with 3 or 4 notes. So instead of having so many notes to choose from, you shrink down, you play fewer notes, and in turn, playing fewer notes and doing more with them, you're gonna build more of kind of a character solo. You're gonna tell more of a story. And then the cool thing is you can build up. I'm using diagonal pentatonic there. But then if you wanted, you could start to slip in like the Dickie Betts-ism, which AJ is doing great, but I just think that maybe he started out with that too soon, rather than saving it, making it special, and also introducing kind of almost new characters into the story. So quick overview of that. Think about trying to play with doing more with less, and then expand into playing higher and using more of the notes from the scale. All right, let's continue. So there he's using a little kind of diagonal pentatonic. Okay. Again, lots of great stuff happening. He's playing with really good phrases. We've been working on kind of his connection more and more to the rhythm, and also playing less and less like staccato notes and more connected. One thing that I would suggest to AJ, because I know you're gonna watch this, is, make sure that once you know where the scale is, you slide from a half step below. Now, if you do them all in a row, it'll sound a little silly, but if you just do a little bit, so more of the story there, make sure that once you know the scale, that you're decorating it with different things. Like I think you're doing a great job of decorating with hammer-ons and pull-offs and some slides. But realize that once you know the scale, you can slide from outside the scale, especially from a half step below each of the notes. Let's dig in some more. Again, really nice bends. Ooh, okay, cool. So he hasn't used that note very much, so I really appreciate that. That felt like kind of the introduction of a new character to me. And that felt like, that is the flatted seventh. That's kind of like the key mixolydian note. In this case, in the key of B mixolydian, it's A. And remember that B mixolydian, that's the same as the notes from the E major scale. But this chord progression is just going B to A and back. That's the entire thing, right? It's kind of like Fire on the Mountain almost. So I really appreciate that he basically didn't play that note for a long time, and then he went up, right? And then, to me, it was like something fresh. It was like, you know, I compare music to food a lot. It's like all of a sudden you like have the next course and it's like some different kind of like zesty, like citrusy kind of thing going on. That note is like, all of a sudden it's like, ooh, what's that? You know, it brings my ear in and makes me kind of excited to listen some more. Nice hammers and pull-offs. So that's this really cool kind of thing that I've been working with AJ on is being able to do doubles and triples and quadruples on notes, and I love the way that he just played that line out there. So again, it's like he's already up there sky high, and so he doesn't have anywhere to go. And although he's making the most of it, I would say, it would be cooler if you started lower. Box one down here instead would be great, I think. So I'm going to take a moment to introduce you to the sponsor of this video, my Inner Circle Guitar Coaching Program. If you're an intermediate guitarist and you're looking to advance your skills and work with a dedicated guitar coach, go ahead and click that link in the description below and apply to see if we're a good fit for my Inner Circle Guitar Coaching Program. All right, back to AJ. Nice, he's working on getting some of those more speedy, bursty kind of things going on. There's so much great kind of rhythmic stuff going on in AJ's playing now. Like I feel like he's kind of floating around and playing really great rhythmic ideas. He plays in a band with his son, and specifically they had a gig opening for Uncle Cracker last week, and his son really complimented on how great he was sounding in his leads. And I agree, it's so cool to hear him just making these strides, and he's got so much more rhythmic information and kind of direction in his playing now. Okay, so obviously, here's the thing. Like this is going on 2 minutes, right? So if AJ were really playing on a gig, it would be rare to take a 2-minute solo. They're here and there, but it's really kind of uncommon to have that long of a solo. So we got to remember, you know, one thing when practicing our guitar solos, I think it's really important to try and take, you know, a 30-second solo, a 45-second solo, even a 4-bar solo, because it happens a lot in music where you might have a small amount of space or you might have a bunch of space. I occasionally, you know, it's a little bit silly, but on certain gigs I might take a 4-minute solo. It's very rare, right? But if it's like a kind of an intimate crowd and you can really stretch out and start really quiet and go places, that's cool. So what I would suggest for everyone is make sure that you're practicing different lengths of solos, right? So it's good to actually push past your comfort, because you can challenge yourself in the way where, oh man, I'm running out of ideas. Can I force myself to find new ideas within the things that I know, right? That's actually a cool thing to do. And then it's also cool to just play a short solo, videotape it, listen to it and say, okay, you know, how is that sounding? How do I make this sound better, right? Recording yourself is like the #1 way to learn. Nice last bend. All right, cool. AJ, thank you so much for sharing this. Let's just recap on a couple of the things that I think would be best to just make this soloing even better. So number one, make sure you're starting in a lower register. I personally would try and start with fewer notes, stick to the pentatonic at first, maybe even in box shape 1 here. Or you could think about diagonal, maybe even from the B at the 9th fret of the D string. Diagonal major pentatonic will be a 3-2 pattern. That would give me a lot more register to work with. So start lower, start with fewer notes, and then really try to peak up in the register that you kind of spent most of your time in, because I think that you'll be able to build the solo. And then also, you know, experiment with playing shorter solos that are really straight and to the point, and experiment with playing longer solos that really get you kind of pushing through all of your licks and make you have to think of fresh ideas. All right, thank you so much for joining us on Guitar Coach Reacts. Make sure to watch this video next.